welcome to the Scratching Post where we scratch that game itch. And tonight is, of course, that time of the month. That time of the month where we get together and we comment densely upon the news. Welcome, everyone, to the Comment Dense Podcast. Woo! Change that. There we go. Hello, everyone. My name, of course, is Ebac here at the channel. And, of course, joining me is my normal group of friends, as we'll be, as I mentioned, commenting densely upon the news that's just happened over the last month in gaming. Well, more like the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah, didn't we already have a podcast this month?
We did have a podcast month because we pushed it back a week due to other things going on. But we are back. And looking at this, we've got some news to talk about. I thought there would be a lot of news, but it seems to be the world just keeps on going and giving us content to work with to comment densely upon. So first of all,
no, not content.
Introductions. Mine, of course, is Ebac, as I mentioned before. To my left, we have Doctor, who is a good friend of mine, has been for several years now. And, of course, below me, we have none other than Shadow Phoenix Rider. And, of course, onto my diagonal down there, we have none other than Lemming Russ.
Howdy.
How's everyone doing?
I'm
Not
okay.
bad.
I think, yeah.
Burrs in the chat.
Live.
Burrs in the chat. Hello, Burr. Yeah.
Hey, it's a
Hey,
bird.
Burr.
I'm still confused because obviously today's a Wednesday and it's normally a Tuesday, so I'm
I
confused.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
It doesn't take a lot.
Oh,
Oh,
the
bless.
pandemic. The pandemic's basically been just like, oh, you had the concept of time. No more.
Nope. Gone. Time is gone.
Unfortunately, I've been first to maintain a quality of time because I have a job.
Yeah.
Jobs suck, man.
Jobs do
I know,
suck.
right? Capitalism fucking sucks.
Which we'll get into further tonight. Let's kick off immediately. So let's go right into it. Kind of just ram right into the news. So first of all, for the news of the week, let's start off with something feel good. IDOS Montreal adopts a 4-day work week. According to this news article here by on the IGN, IDOS Montreal, the Square Enix owned studio that developed Deus Ex Human Revolution and working on the Guardians of the Galaxy game, is switching to a 4-day work week. The change also applies to IDOS Sherbrooke, IDOS Montreal support studio. This is nothing but good. There's been a lot of talk in the wider world, which is game world, of switching to a 4-day work week, and I think it's great. It's very forward-thinking. I applaud this great kind of move from IDOS to actually go with it. Happy workers will be productive workers.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out the topic needs to be changed to news.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. Thank you. So it does. This is now the news. There we go.
Yeah, I hope you guys didn't tune in for like professionalism because we're flying by the seat of our pants.
We always have, always will, and never will change in that respect. Let's also move on to something which is also a bit more feel good. California signs law allowing victims of workplace harassment to speak freely instead of being gagged by confidentiality clauses.
Yeah,
Everybody turns to look at Activision Blizzard.
Fuck your gag order.
Yeah, Activision Blizzard sweats nervously.
Yeah, so long story short, Activision Blizzard and other companies, I'm assuming, have also in the past utilized confidentiality clauses, which have a reason to exist, because of course you don't want content in your game leaking for obvious reasons, to basically gag people in discussing any form of workplace harassment. This law basically prevents that from happening, which is fantastic. It's a great kind of thing. It's very... no one wants to be silenced in these circumstances, and when you have a company saying no, it's in your contract, you can't talk about it. Oh, that's right, it's the game. No, it's in your contract, you can't talk about anything. Is very oppressive and also very controlling. So good on California. Let's just hope there's more states follow suit and more countries as well.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a bad feeling though that there is a bit of a lag time between laws like this coming into practice and then things happening. I have a horrible feeling that next year a lot of shit's going to come out of Silicon Valley. A lot of shit.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes.
So be prepared to be prepared to find out that those companies are packets of shit.
Yeah, get ready for the flood, as it were.
I don't think it'll be a flood. It'll be a trickle at first, and then it will spool up as time goes on.
another article from IGN here, one which I wanted to highlight because it's a very positive thing for LGBT communities. That is Superman, your new Superman. John Kent is bisexual. The new Man of Steel come out on a journey of self-discovery as he's come out as being, bisexual. Very positive move. DC have been very progressive with trying to show LGBT characters and expand their thing, and also the fact that it's their flagship character, Superman, who is not it's not the Superman, it's not Clark Kent, it's his son, but it's a nice kind of reflection of the fact of, because I actually kind of like that it's his son, because it's like Clark's got his own values. He's the Superman of today, and of course he's saying that John should be the Superman of tomorrow. So yeah, I like it. I really do like it. Good on you, DC. And fuck that writer who got fired for not liking that.
Get fucked!
Hey, Drifting. Nice to see you in the
Hello.
chat. And hello,
Hi,
Bert.
Drifting.
Bad feeling this will be new company rules sneakily overruling the act. I mean, that's it. But I think it makes it illegal. So
Yeah, I know that they will try to exploit loopholes to do so, but
the less
Yeah,
loopholes that are
there's
there.
always- Exactly. That's the thing, is that all companies will get lawyers to find a loophole. It's either whichever sort of side you look in. Like you look at, say, motorsport as an example, you get those lawyers to find loopholes in rules to gain performance. So it's one of those things. They're going to find a way to get around some stuff, I'm sure.
Eurogamer article coming out next, as we have a news on Paradox, which I know that Shadow's been wanting to kind of very spearhead this discussion. Paradox staff criticizes culture of silence, which has let man with a senior reputation for harassment hold a senior role for years.
it's just like, why do all the game companies that publish my favorite games have to be pieces of shit? Like, yeah, this comes like swiftly after I can't remember if it was a couple of months back that there was a survey done by one of the unions, which basically highlighted that people didn't really feel like that Paradox was listening to their concerns or such like, and then all of a sudden, I think the CEO, who was their old CEO, who was a woman, left the company all of a sudden and had to be replaced by the acting CEO. And then for some reason, soon after this survey, he went, I gotta leave. I'm so sorry, I did a thing with an employee that I shouldn't have done. And everyone was like, where did that come from? And now this has happened. So it's just like, guys, come on. It's not that hard to not be a dick to other people, including women. Come on. Oh.
Yeah, it's regarding one particular involvement involving the hiring of senior management previously known for unwelcome approaches and harassment. End quote. At another games company, the Svenska Dagblatt sources said the man's reputation was ignored, allowing him to be employed at Paradox regardless. He had too much physical contact with us female employees, hands on lower back or very close hugs where he drilled his face into one's throat. God damn it. We're gonna leave it right there.
Yeah. Also, I think somebody from Colossal Order said that whenever they spoke to Paradox, they always had to have a male representative. Because, like, the Paradox, for some bizarre reason, Paradox would not speak to a female employee. They always had to be a man. It's just like, what?
That gives off vibes.
Yeah, that gives off
That's
like
vibes.
ding 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 ding.
Yeah, that is what we call a red flag, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
So Paradox is currently on the shit list for me. So every time it's just like, I'm not playing Stellaris, I'm not playing Skylines, I'm just, no, unless you do something, fuck it. It's not like I've got loads of other games to play though, so fuck you guys.
Next article, we go on more discussions between Epic and Apple. It just keeps on getting better, doesn't it? Google
This time is Google.
countersues Epic for dodging Play Store developer fees, as so rightly they should.
That Smash Bros alert sound, a new challenger approaches.
Google's filed a counter lawsuit against Epic Games for its original Project Liberty stunt, where the company attempted to circumvent Play Store fees by having Android Fortnite players purchase in-app currency directly from Fortnite. So basically, yeah, Google, now that they've seen what happened now that the dust has settled and they saw that it came out in Apple's favor, they're like, right, we're going to get our cut now. So this is kind of really... Epic's kind of really backfired on you, hasn't this?
It's almost like if you kick the hornet's nest,
Yeah.
the swarm comes after you.
Yeah, and again, Epic continue with their narrative that they're of course the victims, which of course they're not.
What's worse is the fact that they're always saying, we're doing it for the players!
They're not. They're doing it to line their own pockets.
Fucking not. You're doing it for the cash.
Yes.
They're doing it to line their own pockets. That we're not fools.
Yep.
Speaking of Fortnite, there's been some more backtracking in terms of Fortnite, as this PC Gamer article mentions. So Shadow, can you remember when Among Us said they were going to do like a new game mode where you had to identify who was sabotaging particular elements of the objectives you're trying to achieve?
So
Oh
you mean-
yeah.
Sounds
you mean
very similar, doesn't it? Something.
So you mean there's
Yeah.
there's somebody among us that's doing something weird?
No,
And
it just sounds suspiciously like something very. It sounds sus. Something very similar to think. Oh yeah, Among Us.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And
yeah.
they were just like, because we've managed to fit like a building mode into this battle royale that we've done, maybe it'll fit other things into it if we don't try hard enough. And it backfired because the Among Us devs were like, bitch, that looks exactly like our map with no changes. What the fuck?
and
Why did
basically,
you
then
credit us?
they also had
the
the
fans was just like, we looked at the map. It's the exact same map as Among Us.
also what makes me laugh is that they are trying to argue the fact that it's like a tool and that the game inside it is what players make of it and not. It's like, no, don't try. Epic is being really shady with Fortnite, and I really don't like it one bit. Hell,
Yeah,
Epic's being shady in general, and I really don't like it.
Yeah, no, I still look down my nose about it. It's just like, yeah, just because you managed to put like a building mechanic into your battle royale and it worked doesn't mean you can't just shoehorn everything into it and it's gonna fucking work. Especially if you just look over and copy somebody else's work and just like file the serial numbers off.
It's not even filing the
now-
serials numbers off at this point.
Yeah, and they're basically just crawling up to the Omega steps. It's like, can we do the thing now? We're sorry. We're sorry.
As
then-
PC Gamer quite rightly put it, this August, Epic announced a kind of sus new mode for Fortnite called Imposters.
It turns out they were the imposter the entire time.
Yeah, ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Still, I always like seeing companies getting their knuckles rapped.
oh yeah.
Speaking of, one thing which I think is very important to cover is the worst kept secret in the games industry, also known as the GTA Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition trilogy, was officially revealed, finally, after being the worst kept secret for years. Well, not years, but like for nearly a year now. We finally know that's a thing that's coming, but also, if you wanted to pick up a copy of the originals on Steam, you're fresh out of luck, boyo. Unfortunately, they have been delisted from the store to prepare for the arrival of the Definitive Edition. Now,
Wait a minute. I think I remember a company doing this at one point. Weren't they called? I can't think. Was it like Stormy Entertainment or something? Oh, Blizzard. Activision
yes.
Blizzard.
Oh yes,
They did that with Warcraft 3 Reforged, and I wonder how that turned out.
yes, not very well, as Shadow kind of mentions there. I am not for this. I can see what they're doing from a business standpoint. They're removing potential competition to themselves because if people are like, well, I'm not going to buy the Definitive Edition, well, I can just buy the originals for like $5 each, even if the Definitive Editions do look shinier. So to prevent that competition, they basically say, okay, we'll just remove the option for buying those and say you can now only buy the Definitive Edition. No doubt the Definitive Edition is going to be better. We've seen that it looks quite interesting and quite good, and they have spruced up very nicely, but... Yeah, but...
Yeah, it's just like if you've got confidence in your game, if you've got confidence in what you're doing with your remaster, that game will stand up on its own. You don't need to take away the original game.
And
You only do that if you haven't got the confidence in the product that you're selling.
I'm also going to point out that from a standpoint of preservation, it's terrible. People will say, well, why? Because it's remade. You can play it. Yes, but the original version hasn't been maintained. You cannot play the original version of that game. And for historical purposes that should be, maintained and kept active, because it's important that to us to look back at that history. Grand Theft Auto 3 was a groundbreaking game. In terms of, it was one of the first open world games ever released, and let's face it, that's what made the Grand Theft Auto the series that it is now.
Yeah, and
Before that, it was nothing.
Yeah, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but we saw what happened. We literally saw what happened with Reforged, where they literally took the original game and force updated it to Reforged, and unfortunately for them, it was a shit game, and there was no way to walk yourself back to that original game. So you're literally gambling now on, hopefully this game is, if this game is good, then it's not great, but it's kind of like, okay, I kind of see it. But if it's another Reforged, then there's going to be a shit show. There's going to be an absolute shit show.
Absolute shit show. And it's already starting in the review comments in the older Grand Theft Auto games. For example, right now I have opened the Steam listing for Grand Theft Auto Vice City, one that I recently tried to play and found out that unless I mod the fuck out of it, it doesn't work. Brilliant work, but it's an old game, so who really cares? Steam has already distanced itself from this whole situation by going, at the request of the publisher, Grand Theft Auto Vice City is no longer available for sale on Steam. At the request of the publisher.
Making it clear it was their decision, not Steam's.
Yeah.
And then going down into the more recent Steam reviews, dear Rockstar Games, please don't remove classic GTA Trilogy from Steam.
That's the thing. If they rebranded it as like GTA Classic Edition, that I actually could see them doing that. That's the thing. I fully understand wanting to give your games a fresh coat of paint and wanting to update that, but some people also just want to play the original games in the original format and see what it was like.
I mean,
give them the opportunity.
I have the original sort of copy of Age of Empires sitting on this very PC.
Yeah,
like modded so it can run, but it's got a charm to it that the definitive edition I think lacks. But that's a personal sort of thing.
This
and also there's actually it's not a great point, but I think there's a point to be said. Like, I'm not a fan of review bombing on Steam.
No.
And I know it's a protest, and that's fair, but it's just like it's kind of impotent in its rage in a way as well.
It is very impotent, but at the same time, it does tell a story in that, the top one is Dear Rockstar Games, don't remove the GTA trilogy. The next one is buy this game while you still can. It will be removed next week. Keep in mind that these are not review bombs. These are positive reviews.
Oh, fair.
These are actually like, this is a good game. We don't want it to be removed. And then the final one is, it's gone. Just the positive review, but it just says the game's gone. That's it. It's off the store.
Yeah, because I know that there was one game I was following on Steam, which basically went, we're still selling it, but our publisher has gone under. And everyone was like, okay. So all the reviews just were filled with, don't buy this game. We don't know. Nobody knows if it's going to be worked on again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This actually leads into the next arc we'll bring up, which is, I'm moving down a little bit, skipping a little bit. Skyrim Anniversary Edition could cause major disruptions to the mod scene. So Skyrim are getting an update for the game, which for its anniversary. God knows it's had enough of those. God knows it's been released on the consoles. I'm kind of glad that it's nice it's getting, again, nice it gets a spruce of paint. The problem is, now I've actually modded Skyrim in the past, so I actually know a bit about the subject. There's a peripheral called the Skyrim Script Extender program. It's a program you get, and basically it allows for more complicated mod interactions to occur by basically directly pulling from the scripting source within the game and making actual scripts. The new way that the Anniversary Edition is using it could break the script extender And when I say that, is that the guy who keeps it updated says it's very easy just to create a new version of it and release it. The problem is, what about those mods from 8 years ago that require the script extender that aren't going to be updated?
Ah, yes.
Yeah, because people have moved on. You know,
Mhm.
it's that's the problem. Is that, and in fact, I think there's an article here. Bethesda decided to update the compiler used to build the 64-bit version of Skyrim from Visual Studio 2015 to 2019. Explains one of the SKSE developers on Reddit. This changes the way that code is generated in a way that forces mod developers to start from scratch, finding functions and routing hooks. Plugins using the address library will need to be divided into pre-AE and post-AE and errors. Code signatures and hooks will need to be rewritten. We will need to find functions again. The compiler's inlining behavior has changed enough that literally 100,000 functions have disappeared, neither being inlined or dead stripped. To put it in perspective, explains the developer. This is a considerable amount of work, and while SKSE will be updated in due course, many mods are now outdated and most likely won't be amended for the new edition, says the Skyrim SE developer. This recently means that the native code mod scene is going to be broken for an unknown length of time after AE's release.
Probably
Yeah, it's
forever
basically
for
going to
some of
mean.
them.
Yeah, it's basically going to mean that every mod is going to have to be rebuilt from scratch,
Pretty much.
and only like
Well,
1%.
if it
only
uses-
the active mods are going to do it.
if it uses the script extender, which if you're a decent mod, you use the script extender because it allows for further functions within the game that the normal game tools don't give you. Now, I will point out this, which is I think a bit scummy. We all know Bethesda have been trying to sell us mods for games. So the Anniversary Edition, which is going to be a free update from what I can tell, that comes on the November 11th. Remember that, November 11th, Anniversary Edition. Some free mods that are going to come included with it. Could this be intentional on their part to be like, yeah, let's just get some mod competition out of the way and entice people to kind of buy the mods that we curate on there?
I would subscribe it more to ignorance than malice.
Well, I also think it is ignorance.
I'm
little bit.
hoping so, but at the same time,
yeah.
this does level the playing field. This is basically a complete reset to everybody who. It removes all the mods that people just don't have the time or the ability to update.
And
yeah, I mean,
it's a big thing. Skyrim's mod scene is amazing. So
and huge.
Yeah,
I mean, I know some. I kind of tertiarily know somebody on Tumblr who made some really cute little mods. She made like little mushroom followers. They were adorable.
There's some great stuff there, and sure enough, some of the big mods will most likely be updated because they're still supported. But there'll be mod creators out there who, for whatever reason, have moved on. They no longer do that. They don't have the stuff to do that. They can't remember their knowledge, or we've had COVID. Some of them may no longer be with us, unfortunately. Meaning there's now mods out there that will no longer, unless someone wants to pick up the torch and carry on the legacy, that won't be updated. And that's a sad thing for, again, preservation aspect. When people say, should mods be preserved? It's a part of gaming history, yes. They should be, in a way. And yes, updates do ruin mods and cause problems. That's a problem. But this is changing an overlining thing with how the code interacts with mods entirely. It's going to break more than just one mod. It's going to break loads of mods. And that's a shame.
Yeah, I remember one. Dragon Age Inquisition mod that was basically what it did was just take the gender restriction off Cassandra Pendergast to Romancer. Well, yeah.
We should
You know why I took that. You know why I took that mod. But after a while, it was basically like the mod dev just went. I think they got basically run off from development because the Dragon Age fandom is a shithole, like really, really, really bad. And they basically ran them off, and they basically went, "It's done." And then
I want to point out
of updates kind of broke the.
I want to point out for anyone in the Dragon Age community, the views of One Shadow Phoenix Row did not represent the views of the Scratching Post Limited, although we stand by her opinions and will defend her to the last.
But it's just a terrible thing, and I think. So basically, when the DLC, I think it was Trespasser that came out first. Was it Trespasser?
I don't know. I don't play the game.
No, it was Hackon. It was Jaws of Hackon that came first, and then basically it was a really simple thing. Like it was basically just like you are now treated as a male sort of thing for the intents and purposes of
very simple.
the the game. Yeah, but you had to do that with the DLC and stuff like that. And when they disappeared, it was basically just like,
much you can do. I look forward to.
I was gonna say just quickly before we actually move past this, because actually, you mentioned mods. I've got one that I can throw up in here. My beloved Euro Truck and American Truck developers, SCS, they have obviously had quite a lot of people doing mods for them. I must admit, I do love playing like a very straight vanilla career mode, but obviously over time, having the odd small little thing here and there is always a nice thing. But they recently released update 1.42, which allowed mod support for the online convoy aspect that they introduced in an update about 3 months ago. So they're kind of like embracing the sort of the mod sort of scene on that kind of thing, which is quite nice.
yeah, and they should do, because mods will expand the life of a game for a
Tenfold.
shit ton. Yeah, I mean
Exponentially.
you recommend, like you Ebert recommended Star Wars Empire at War.
Yeah,
Like
there's still
on
mods.
Steam, which
There's still mods being made for that today. There's still mods.
yeah.
Grand Theft Auto Vice City still getting mods to this day. It's if a game has mod support, there's a community, no matter how big or small, that will support it to a degree. Less over time, and if there's new entry, that'll be supported more than the old one. But there's still a scene, and it's important that we look and preserve that. We should have an episode on mods at some point and talk about mods. That'd be nice.
Yes.
We should definitely do that. I'll put that on the list. Next.
Mods, birds in chat.
I see what you did there. PC Gamer says FIFA says never liked DA anyway, and takes its ball and go home. Literally.
I do believe this is Doctor's
wheelhouse. Yes. So
yes,
as our resident sports expert.
Well, you say that I'm wearing my beloved football shirt of the evening, because as you can tell, anyway, FIFA have been taken away, or they've not been able to, or EA haven't been able to get some of the licenses from FIFA for the last couple of seasons, whether that's names of teams or leagues have sort of dropped out the loop. The biggest one that I can recall, I was trying to work on it, thinking about it earlier on today, is that Juventus, one of the biggest teams in Italy, is no longer called Juventus. It's now Piemonte Calcio. It really sort of messes your brain up, because like when I'm trying to build squads using Juventus players, I have to remember that's not what they're called anymore. But yeah, so it's been actually a thing that's sort of been going on over the last few years. But there's big rumors that basically this could be the last FIFA that EA produces, the last FIFA name in its series, and then I think they're going to call it like EA Sports Football or something like that.
Yeah, they'll probably do that
going forwards. But yeah, obviously it's not going to be the same. Just you're not going to have all the licenses. You're not going to be able to go anywhere and get all.
Well, the thing is, it opens the door. It opens the door for other developers to take that license along with it if they're willing to shell out the money. The problem is, I see with this is a lot of money. It's a lot of money, but the thing is, I think FIFA kind of did that intentionally, because, and if anything, I actually think it's both companies being a bit greedy at this point, because it's FIFA wanting the money because they realize how much EA gets from Ultimate Pass and all that lark. However, which is basically the loot boxes, which is a heck of a lot of money. But at the same time, EA doesn't want to share that money because it's all pure profit for them. And they don't think they should pay more. Whereas, in my opinion, it's like, you're earning enough, you could shove some money FIFA's way. At the same time, FIFA, without a game, you're not got any that marketing income. You both kind of win here. I can see both sides of it. At the same time, it's two companies arguing over money, and the people who lose out at the end of it is the fans.
Yeah. And I do wonder, like, in a way, I wonder if FIFA can see the way the wind's blowing, especially in regards to loot boxes, and thinks, you know what, let's not link ourselves to this kind of thing.
Wow, they're picky with what they do link themselves to, aren't they? They've been they've been involved with all kinds of shady shit. I don't think loot boxes some of the things where they draw. No, we draw the line here.
Companies are weird, man. Companies are fucking weird.
Good point. But yeah,
it is especially two companies arguing over money, and at the end of the day, it's just a case of, guys, you're two really big companies with a lot of money. This shit shouldn't be public. You should have your negotiators renegotiate a contract or just say we're done.
Yeah,
One
but
or the other.
yeah, they've just publicly come out and just started throwing. They've like EA's done the equivalent of like walked out of the house and started keying like the like you didn't love me anyway in the side of FIFA's car, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
post breakup kind of
Yeah,
nonsense.
it is like watching a bad breakup. I will say that is literally what I said in my notes.
I
Yeah,
don't,
and
I don't know
everybody's
why.
just like, we don't give a shit. Please go away.
I don't know why, but I'm getting very vague coalition vibes.
Oh,
Right then. So
Yeah.
that's that about FIFA.
oh yeah, no, I agree, but like FIFA was never a good guy to begin with. But it's just a case of like, here's the shit lord and here's the other shit lord. I really don't give a shit.
A couple of things to kind of quickly gloss over. First of all, the Duke of Edinburgh Award officially recognizes esports gaming as an actual a sport, an event that you can actually take part in. Yes, Lemmy?
Not StarCraft 2. Damn it.
Where the fuck was this when I was doing it?
I know, right? I know, right?
Times change, standards change as well. With the idea of the idea of what an esport is has evolved, and I know I can almost hear people over a certain age kind of grumbling at this point, saying, "Why is that considered a sport?"
Yeah.
It is
My
pretty much a
first
It
comment
is.
aside. First comment aside, I realized I was muted for like the last 10 minutes. I was just like, oh shit, I've actually been
Oh,
saying
no.
things and you've not heard me.
Sorry.
Because I've been chewing a
Sorry.
lolly. But it's a case of, yes, I'm annoyed that it wasn't here when I had the opportunity. But it's a great thing for the kids who are currently doing it.
Absolutely.
No hate towards them. I wish
No,
them all
not-
the best in getting bronze, silver, and hopefully gold Duke of Edinburgh awards using this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just fucking envious. Just like I'm just like I would have genuinely tried to ladder StarCraft in
Yeah.
order to do that. I would have tried and also been able
Speaking of,
the thought like if you know what? No, I'm not gonna wear that dirty
I just
laundry.
wish
Continue.
I would have had the opportunity to say, Dad, I need a better computer. It's for my Edinburgh.
yes.
Yeah, I could have actually gone to my parents and like, well, playing these video games allows me to get the
Yeah. I think it's a great thing. Speaking, as you mentioned about Blizzard, BlizzCon on pause as Blizzard aims for a more welcoming and inclusive event.
Yeah, could you stop fucking harassing your employees now, please?
Translation: yeah, it's kind of a good thing to be doing in a
not a
BlizzCon while
good
things are going on. Yeah, it's not a good look. So let's just not have a
And the fact
BlizzCon this year.
that, you know,
Yeah.
my translation all thing is our current goodwill with everybody is an all-time low.
Yeah.
Let's not be doing public events right now.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, and also, why the fuck are you guys doing like 2 BlizzCons a year anyway? Like, guys,
Makes no sense.
guys, just one a year. Everybody else gets along with one a year. Fucking hell.
Why have you got to be a special
according-
snowflake?
Yeah, according to
Relax.
the article though, they will just be announcing random shit normally through the year, which is what everybody else seems to be doing now anyway.
Yeah,
So
it's what games publishers do. It's called marketing.
Hell, there's a Sony play event tonight which I'll be watching. So
and
most likely with you
I
guys.
will be watching it with him because it's just like, hey, I want to watch a thing with my friend. I might not get anything out of it, but I enjoy their company. So
Couple of
I won't be because sleep is a thing.
we got one news article to cover before we get into the final 2 news articles which lay into the special subject of tonight. The next one, which I want to end with a positive note on the news, so Trevor McDonald, the Don, is the new Gamesmaster.
Hell yes.
bless this man.
Bless this man. Classic show. Yeah, go on.
I've never seen this show. So
Yes, Weird was very much a fan of it. I wanted to kind of highlight this because he very intensely pointed this out.
yeah,
And
he
so
literally came into the Commandant's chat and was like, "Here, have these news."
you have these news, yeah. The original Gamesmaster was a British institution when it originally ran from January 1992 to February 1998, which saw contestants fight for their chance to earn the golden joystick under the Overwatch flag of the Gamesmaster. So yes, we're getting a revival series with Trevor freaking Donald,
Yeah.
Mr.
I also
Pint of
used to
Guinness
collect the,
himself.
magazine.
Hmm?
I used to also collect the magazine.
Oh yes.
There
Oh,
was
yeah,
it was also a video gaming magazine.
Yes, there
Which
was
I
a video
clicked the
game
hell out
I
of.
magazine.
can't imagine anyone more dignified than Trevor McDonald to take it personally.
I
I'm
know.
so
like,
excited. He's
a part
a
of me-
legend. He's a
I
legend.
know. A part of me, though, is kind of sad that it wasn't Charlie Brooker. Let's be quite honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Because Charlie Brooker knows that kind of shit.
He
But the
does.
thing is,
But McDonald.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
I mean,
I'm not taking away from it. I'm just saying, like,
Ooh, now that's the thing. Like not Gamesmaster, but Gamesmasters, the two together. Ooh, that's a tour de force.
Oh my god,
That's a
that
tour
would
de
be
force.
so good. No, Charlie Brooker's got to be after 10 o'clock.
Yeah, good point. Yes, good point.
The question is he hosting or is he the games master?
I think he's the games master.
He'll be joined in 3 60-minute episodes that are set to air later this year by Games Master host Frankie Ward, Rab Florence, and Ty Logan. So he is the Games Master.
There you go. Yeah.
Frankie Ward. I think she's been on somewhere else, if I remember correctly. She's pretty damn good, if I remember correctly.
I'm just so pleased. Trevor McDonald, he's a legend in the UK in terms of newscasting. Also, from what I hear, people inside the kind of the industry, he's also a really nice dude as well. So
Seems like a really nice dude.
So yes, I'm excited. I cannot wait. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
I don't
That's
pay my license fee, so I can't watch it.
more for. Actually, no,
Well,
license fee.
Basically, it's not that I don't pay my license fee. I'm exempt from my license fee because I don't watch anything on iPlayer.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't actually. And the TV over there isn't digital, so it can't even connect to the.
Yeah.
No.
So, the main topic for tonight is something very important, and that comes down to something which happened early in the month. And there are two news articles that kind of go into this. The first is Metroid Dread. Kotaku. Kotaku says, "Don't worry, just emulate Metroid Dread." This was a shitstorm of an article from Kotaku.
By the way, guys, this happened 2 days after Metroid Dread released.
No, I think it was 24 hours after Metroid Dread released.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Ooh. I remember it was close. I remember it was very
It was
close.
under 48 hours.
It was the 10th. Oh no, you're right. Because it was Friday. So yes, it was 48 hours. So, I mean, 48 hours. Well, not even 48 hours because it was at 5 o'clock on the Sunday. But yeah, that's just stung. And there are some people with some very interesting takes online.
Yeah. Yes.
I do respect some of these people, but at the same time, I also think your take's bad, yo.
Yeah, it's just like I can respect you, but no, that take is rancid. I'm sorry.
A lot of people saying, "Hey, if it wasn't Metroid, no one would care." And I can also understand that. At the same time, it's Metroid. You kind of should care because these games only come out once in a generation. The last one we had was back in 2002. Before that was 1995. You know, they're not exactly games known for having sequels very soon after each other. You know, at this rate,
Metroid games are hard to get hold of, especially the past ones.
Yeah.
So Kotaku basically said, "Hey, it's running wonderfully in 4K on emulation, on PC-based emulation, on a decent PC, of course." And this just kind of the whole article has been rewritten. Now, if you're an astute viewer and knows how to use the Wayback Machine, I would highly recommend you go back and read the articles because the article was more tongue-in-cheek.
Not good.
Yeah, the article was, I say less than tongue-in-cheek, more than kind of like insulting at the start with basically saying, if you're Nintendo, please fuck off. And
yeah, it was
don't read this if you're a Nintendo employee or a lawyer.
That was pretty much like I'm pretty sure that was one of the sentences.
Yeah. Let's not bear on the butts. Nowhere in the article did Kotaku say you shouldn't buy Metroid Dread and that you should just emulate it. But nowhere did they say that you should buy a copy of Metroid Dread and that you emulating it probably isn't good or healthy for that game series. I'm not going to say they were endorsing piracy or emulation.
It got very, very close.
Yeah, I'd say they're brushing their balls up against the wall, at this point, and they might find their balls shut in that door if they're not careful.
So if they're a D&D character, they're probably playing along the chaotic neutral kind of line.
They definitely were. Edging on evil.
Hey, Chaotic, definitely.
Chaotic,
Oh, yeah.
definitely. There's no doubt that what they say is factually correct. Metroid Dread does run on emulation very well, and it's doing very well. And yes,
So long as you have a decent enough PC, do it.
And presumably, yes, if it was any other game, like a Mario game, people wouldn't be as interested because, but let's be honest, Mario gets fucking 5 games a year at this rate, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas Metroid
What a
doesn't.
Mario.
I think people can do to be a bit upset. We're like, hey, we kind of want this series to get another entry, so maybe you don't, you know?
Yeah, please
That
don't
and people
do it.
saying nobody would care if it wasn't Metroid. Well, I would care because if it was a smaller game that not many people know about, you are specifically fucking them over by emulating it.
Yeah, like imagine Carrion only came out on the Switch and people immediately, like 2 days after its release, started saying, "Hey, you can emulate this on PC," and it wasn't available on PC at all. I think people would be like slightly pissed that you're doing that to an indie game.
Certainly,
Well done, you've just bankrupted an indie developer.
certainly Nintendo took notice because I did notice the artist note says, per request by Nintendo, we update the article to generally assert that Kotaku does not promote or encourage piracy.
Well done. Take your slap like a man and move on.
Kotaku declined to enact changes that blurred the line between suggestions and aggressive line edits to preserve editorial independence.
I've just gone into the Wayback Machine and I can literally quote from the original article.
Go do it.
There we
This is the first paragraph. Hey, real quick, if you are a Nintendo loyal or an employee, just don't read this. It was a silly mistake. Ignore this blog. You can go now. Okay? Everybody, that's literally the first paragraph.
Which they clearly
Wow.
someone from Nintendo's going to read it. That clearly was meant as a joke. I get it, but at the same time, you're not making me laugh. It's making me like, the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing?
Like, why are you hiding this? Come on.
Yeah.
And also think about it. All you've got to search in Google is Nintendo Switch Metroid Dread, and that might come up as one of the top articles. So it's not going to be easy to not spot.
It's in Kotaku. It's not like a little independent outlet somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
I will point out that Kotaku's update, I do agree with them. This is Kotaku believes emulation is a vital part of the world of gaming, not least when it comes to game preservation. Reporting on a phenomenon is not the same as encouraging anyone to break the law and download the games they have not purchased. We believe our readers are intelligent adults capable of making such choice themselves independently by us. So they weren't directly telling you to do it. They were just saying you could do it and present that to you. Now, you know,
though I'm looking at the article right now, and nowhere in this article does it say anything about, hey, maybe you should have like an actual copy before you
do
like
this.
emulate before
Yeah,
you
and
do this. It's literally just about running it on PC. And then at the bottom, it's just like, hey, if you want to play the rest of the Metroid franchise, you don't want to shell out for old consoles and games, you got to emulate it. And Nintendo's not very good about this. And I was like, yes, we're going to talk about that.
We'll get there.
That's not
We'll get there.
acceptable. That's not acceptable, guys.
Yeah.
It's no.
And yes, people say,
Ugh.
"Oh, if it was an older game." Yes, because older games are harder to get a hold of. This is a
context here.
Context is king. This is a game that's 2 days old, and there are people saying, "Well, if people don't own a Switch, then they don't get to play the game." You know, I hate to be that guy, but exclusives are there to drive and purchase. I don't personally believe in exclusives because I think that it'd be nice if someone could play whatever they want to do on a console, but they exist as a business thing, as a marketing tactic to get people to buy your console. If all games were exclusive, then it wouldn't be as interesting. But
I think we should talk about this more into the actual topic. So
let's move on to the next article, and the one which is really the crux of it, which is I titled this "Nintendo screws up while screwing us." So
yes,
Nintendo in a direct they did about a month ago announced they had an expansion pass coming out for their online services, saying that they were going.
Yes, I remember hearing this.
They were going to add Nintendo N64 games and Sega Genesis / Mega Drive games to their lineup. They didn't reveal pricing. They said they're coming. But we did know they were going to sell it. So people
I wonder why they did that.
Yeah, it's kind of a question why they didn't just reveal what the price was. I know exactly why they didn't reveal what the price was, because then people would be complaining about the fucking price from that was announced in that direct, because the price has dropped. And whoa, Nelly. It's not cheap. And
it was something like $60 for like a family pass for the Americans.
Yes. So if you're looking at
That's the price for a full game, guys.
yeah, $49.99.
Also, don't forget the Animal Crossing DLC that got bundled up in that.
Yeah, and the Animal Crossing DLC
Yay!
looked abundant. Yay for people.
Which will disappear if you don't pay your subscription fee. Bye bye to that DLC, because you technically don't own that DLC if you just get it through that.
Yeah, the cost is more than double the normal price in the States. It's quite competitive here in the UK, but in the States, it's nearly double the price of the normal for the yearly charge, effectively. And if you want to buy the family plan, that's coming up and breaking at about the $80 mark. That's just expensive.
That's more than a triple. That's more than Nintendo's flagship Switch games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh,
it is not cheap. And I was hoping that they were just going to be like, okay, yeah, you can buy, because I purchase my subscription monthly just because if I want to shut it down, if I need to, it's
same here.
I can do that. However, I checked yesterday just to make sure there is no option for a monthly pass. You have to buy a year. You commit yourself to a year straight up. Now, Nintendo are very kind. They've knocked off the price of my subscription that I've paid for this month. How lovely of them. I'd rather you not bothered at this point.
Yes.
However, it would be fine if the games fucking worked properly. Now, I've not. Now, I'll hand up my hand. I did think about purchasing the subscription last night and trying it for myself. And then I realized, you know what? I kind of don't want to spend like money on something which I don't think I'll use or play because, quite frankly, the lineup is lackluster from the start. I mean, you've got your regular, your bangers: Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, the same couple of N64 games that they port every single fucking time.
Star Fox 64, six games, but they're not exactly. It's not like we're getting like a massive bunch in the collection or anything. And yes,
drip feed them
they're going to drip feed them. And the problem is they drip feed them at a glacial speed. I've seen icicles grow faster than the time that they.
No, glaciers have moved faster than Nintendo.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that you're paying up front for a service which is going to have more stuff in the long run. So why are you paying up front from the start? Really?
Ironically, a lot of the stuff, ironically, most of the time with Nintendo, the time the virtual console gets really good is when the console that it's running on, be it the Wii or the Wii U, is out of its life cycle. And it's just like, what? It's like when they released the Twilight Princess on the GameCube, and it was just like, I'm sorry, but this poor thing is dead.
It's a lackluster service for a start, because one, their online services aren't even good. The only time I'd say their services are good are in Mario Kart. Even Smash suffers at times.
Oh yeah, no, I remember the last time we played Smash. There was definitely an input lag for me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Their online infrastructure just isn't there. And yet, they're now putting themselves in the same price range as Sony and Microsoft, who have very decent services.
Oh my god, Microsoft blows them out of the water and into the next galaxy. Jesus.
Exactly. For those, they get free games every single month. Every single month.
Hey, we're going to get...
keep.
Yeah, also, Lemming, we're going to get free Age of Empires 4 when it comes out tomorrow.
Correction. You keep it as long as you keep your subscription up, but you still get to keep it. For example, I've got PlayStation Plus. Yeah.
Yeah, the subscription is like £7 a month. It's really fucking decent.
Really decent. Yeah. Really. And for that, you get access to that. Whereas Nintendo, they give you old games.
They give you old games which they've released several times in a row, and you might not even... I'm gonna just go off on one for a little bit. I am unpopular opinion, but I am sick and fucking tired of N64 games. I am really tired of them. You see these games over and over and over again. I'm fucking tired of them. It's just like, when are you gonna release GameCube games? When are you gonna release Game Boy Advance games? Maybe it's just because they're my childhood in a way, and I'm kind of going, I am uncomfortable. We're not about me. But
it doesn't appeal to you.
Tired of it now.
It doesn't appeal to you, and that's fine. I mean, that's the thing, is there's rumors and speculation that Game Boy Advance and Game Boy is coming, but the thing is, you don't know. And that's the problem. Nintendo are very coy about. If they had said we're planning to do Game Boy Advance and Game Boy games,
Oh my god, yes, I would be
Yeah.
on that. Like,
Even if they said
fly on
even,
shit.
even if they didn't say what the games were and just said we're gonna do it, then I think that'd be more credence to get people on board. Is the fact you've got Genesis games which I already have a collection for on the Switch
For
and on my
cheaper.
PC for cheaper. It's cheaper. I've got a mini, and there's people like, oh, but you can't get a Castlevania Bloodlines on those. No, but you know what it is? It's in the Castlevania collection, which I've already got as well. you know, it's these games are you can get them elsewhere for a cheaper price. I can own them for a cheaper price rather than have to pay a subscription for them. And that's what's the annoying thing is for me is the services aren't even that good in terms of
No.
Nintendo. And yes, the NES games and SNES games were a great choice because those are very iconic consoles that not a lot of people had a chance to play with.
And there's some really good games in there.
Really good games like Super Metroid, for one example, which is I will shill for that game.
Yeah, I will die for Yoshi's Island.
And
It's
Yoshi's
not the way
Island.
it's not the way I used to play it because I played the Game Boy Advance remake, but that's just me. But I would die for that game.
So we bring you our topic tonight, Daylight ROM-ery. And that is the fact, as we talk about the fact that emulation and how important it is for the preservation of games and how you shouldn't pirate games. But also companies, if you want people to not pirate games, the easiest way is to offer easy and accessible options for those who want to play your games and offer options. Like, for example, if I could just buy Super Metroid outright on my PC and just play that forever and eternity, I would do that.
Tell me a ROM, a legal fucking ROM, and I will buy that shit.
Here's the rule.
Honestly.
Here's the very simple rule. Piracy thrives, as it is right now, when everything's hard to get.
Yes.
It's literally
an
that.
accessibility issue. It's always been an accessibility issue.
It's the same with movies. When Netflix was the only streaming service on the planet, piracy went to a standstill. Because everyone was like, oh, it's on Netflix. Everything's on Netflix. I'll just get a Netflix subscription and I won't need a pirate anymore. Brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And then every other publisher went, well, we're going to have our own streaming service. Amazon got its own streaming service. Now everybody has to have half a dozen monthly payments, subscriptions, to look at the things they want, and then they just go, and then go back to piracy sites.
Yeah, mysteriously, piracy went back up again. It's almost like, guys, it's always been accessibility, always been about accessibility, and it's just like, because people, like, most of the population are decent people, and if you give them the ability to buy something, they will do it. Like, offer it for them for a reasonable price, and they'll go, okay, that's fair. Here's my money, kind of thing.
Peering behind the curtain a little bit. Recently I did a stream of Invasive Investigations 1. That was done using emulation software on my PC because it's easy to stream. Now people may question, well, do you have the game? Well, there you go. I've got the game. It's here, right here. I've purchased the game. I've given Nintendo my hard-earned pounds. And just in case you question if it's just a dud case or not. No, there it is. There's the manual with the game cartridge in there and everything. I've paid. So Nintendo didn't even get my money for this because this was purchased from another seller. And that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing with this is people say, why don't you just buy the games from
buy
the games. Well, okay, well, I could have
saved my recent
oh no, she's gone. She's away.
We're not giving companies the money to access this stuff. We're giving people who've sold the stuff on. Nintendo have already got their money over this before. Great games.
I recently bought these games. This one recently, and the thing is, this was like £10, and I got this out of a CEX, like a reseller. I got this from UK Games Expo, also from a reseller. Do you really think that money went to LucasArts, the now defunct LucasArts? I might just add, like, no, it didn't at all. So, like, I need to have a word about like abandonware, but I'll let you guys. We'll let you go.
We'll get to abandonware, but yeah, with this, I could very easily power up my 3DS, shove this bad boy in, and play it. But you know what's easier? I like playing it on a big screen. And also, I'm not exactly going places these days with the world in the state it is. So I kind of, want to be comfortable and play it on a big screen. So yeah, I do emulate it. But as you see here, I have a copy of the game which I purchased I've purchased this game. And when we did the stream of Apollo Justice, same thing. It was emulation. However, I've purchased the copy of Apollo Justice on my 3DS. So, yeah. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
I never played it on my 3DS because I purchased it because it was the right thing to do in the fact that I'm supporting the game and the industry.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's-
that's the thing as well. Is it's the if you've already given that money out, it's like is it when we did a X-Wing stream
Yes.
and he said using stuff that already bought, cough, but look at whatever's around there. It's kind of that point. It's like if the company's already got their money and then you're doing that as a ease of like um access or ability to be able to stream, it's a different ball game after that.
The
really.
problem with Nintendo is they don't give easy access to these things. And people will say, oh, but online subscription servers, that's not easy access. And I say that
No.
because it's restricted to their own platform on their thing. Again, I will always say this to the day I die. The best comparative thing I can give you is look at what Sega do. Sega have their own proprietary launcher in Steam, which they can add games to if they wanted to. However, when you download the game, they give you the ROM.
Yep.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of hacks that require you to purchase the game and apply the patch to that ROM in order to make it work. That's how you do it, because those ROMs will be playable until the end of time. Doesn't matter that if Steam goes bust, or does it matter if what's it called? If the program no longer stops, the actual built-in emulator, the Sega Genesis Collection, stops working on modern systems, those ROMs will still be available, and there'll be a program supported by the community that can run them.
Mhm.
And that's the problem. Is Nintendo say, well, we'll give you the subscription on your Switch. What happens when the Switch 2 comes along?
Yeah. No, they
Yeah, and
This
then you have
happened-
the servers switch off on other consoles, and then you're stuck in a
yeah,
loophole.
this happened repeatedly, time after time after time again with the virtual console. Because like they started off with the Wii, where they were just like, we're gonna drip feed stuff in from like the NES and the GameCube and the N64, and they were slowly doing that. And then the Wii U came along, but they were still drip feeding stuff into the Wii. But at the same time, in the Wii U store, it was they literally started from scratch in the Wii U store. And then they've done it again on the Switch, and it's starting to get extremely annoying.
And let's
now.
not forget as well that we're in a ridiculous scenario which we've talked about before, where the latest version of your series has been released, and the only games you can play are the very first one, not even the best version of it, because they had Metroid 1 got a remake on the Game Boy Advance, which brought it in line with the series. You got Super Metroid, which is generally because of the best in the series, and that's it. That's the third Metroid game out of the 5 that you can now play on the Switch.
Yeah, you can only play if you want to play the rest of the games. You need a Wii U.
Yes, you need a Wii U and you need a Game Boy for Samus Returns. You need a Wii U for Return of Samus, which is the original version of Metroid 2, and also, yeah, funny enough, Fusion and Zero Mission, which are available on there. And that's again ridiculous. You can't play Fusion, the game that takes place immediately before Dread, at all.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's just and the thing is, like when they brought out like the Mario collection for last year, they had the fucking nerve, the fucking gall to run Super Mario Sunshine on an emulator on their own fucking proprietary system. And even though they spend like most of their time shutting it down, it's just like, excuse you, it's not even the best emulation for it.
I just realized one thing.
Hang on.
Nintendo are doing the same thing that Apple do.
Oh,
They're locking you in their ecosystem and making you buy their
Making
hardware.
you buy their hardware.
yes.
Yeah, basically is what it is. Like I've always said, if Nintendo did like a launch service on Steam saying we're now going to have the Nintendo launcher on Steam, you can buy games in there, and once you buy the games, you get the ROMs. They wouldn't do it. But the thing is,
They'll never do it.
they'll never do it.
No.
The thing is, that way it's great for preservation, it's great for ROMs, and also it means that you're emulating illegally. Now, if you want to play those games out there, you can play them. Just find yourself a decent way of playing them, and find a way. Buy the games, rip them to your hard drive. I'm sure everyone can do that, right? Support the industry.
Release a NES emulator on the Steam store. Release a SNES emulator on the Steam store. You buy the thing for like £1. You buy each of the games separately. It would be so much easier.
Yeah, like
And you'd make money. The people making the ROMs would presumably help you do it.
yeah. Can you imagine?
Win-win.
Yeah, can you imagine how many fucking Pokemon ROM hacks there are out there? There's
Yeah.
a fucking shit ton.
Also, think of the marketing perspective as well. The fact of, PC people who've never played a Nintendo game perhaps in their life, maybe, potentially, suddenly they have access to this Nintendo. I quite like this, this Star Fox game.
Yeah.
That might
Yeah,
entice people to buy, unlikely, might entice people to buy a Nintendo console just to kind of see the new games in the series. It's possible.
Yeah, and for the people who like are taking this as a surprise that Nintendo was doing it, they've done it since Sega was a thing. They literally used to like have retail stores over a barrel, and basically if they tried to drop the prices, they'd say, "Oh, we're just not gonna send you any copies." Or they deliberately would shortchange every retailer, like they operated like a toy company. It was basically like, yeah, we'll agree to this much, but we'll only send you this much. So every time they had the companies over the barrel, every single time, and they've been doing this. They've been doing this since the NES era. Like Nintendo has never been your friend. They are ruthless and cutthroat, and they want your money, and that is all they want.
Yeah. This price gouging
yeah,
proves it.
yeah, and it's like they've done this forever. This is not a new behavior. It's just more people are seeing it for what it is.
Yeah.
And I think a lot more people need to start treating Nintendo like we treat everybody else.
Yeah, that's
like,
the thing, because that's the thing, Nintendo are going after these places that have these ROMs on them and the emulations, and yet they're not doing anything with it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd fully understand if they're like, oh yeah, we're selling these ROMs. Can you to players, to people play? You can't, but they're not. They're not.
Yeah, they're basically waving a stick around, going, "Stop giving out things that we no longer sell."
Basically,
they stopped doing that, and everyone was like, "Yeah, but we still want this thing, though.
we want to play the thing. We want to play the fun thing that you put out 2-3 decades ago.
Yeah,
well, we want you to buy the new thing. Well, this is the one I want.
Now let's talk about.
Sell this to me.
Yeah, it's. What are you going to say about?
Let's talk about how emulation is important for preservation, and also let's kind of air some dirty laundry. Who here have, in the past, shall we say, has been less than scrupulous with what they've been playing, shall we say?
I mean, back in the long distant past.
Long distant past.
Yeah.
Yeah. Long distant past. I can honestly say I've not done anything like that for years, because I know the impact upon the industry, and I support the industry. Everything on my shelf you see is genuine.
Yes.
But yeah, it happens. People do it. And although it's no excuse, it usually comes out of because you're young and you don't have money and you want to enjoy it. Now, that is no excuse. You should support the industry. And there are many, many games. I purchased a copy of Hype the Time Quest, which is a copy which I had a not so legitimate copy of back when I was a child. And I actually considered doing a video on it. And so I actually purchased a legitimate copy, which is somewhere in my cupboard here. I do have it. I wish I'd got it prepared to bring it out. But basically, got to make sure you support the industry. And generally, when I don't need to pirate, I earn enough that I can very easily buy the games that I need. The problem is that I don't have. When you're talking about accessing games from the NES era and SNES era, there's a lot more than just buying the game. There's buying the console, which then there's buying a TV to play that console on. There's then buying
which more often than not now will be a CRT TV, because the LCD screens now just don't have the ports to support them.
Consoles no longer have the parts being made for them. So, I mean, how much trouble do you think it's going to be for you, Shadow, to get your Game Boy Advance fixed?
It's ridiculous. Well, it's almost impossible. Once that goes, the only thing that's going to play Game Boy Advance games is my GameCube, which has a Game Boy player in that. And you can imagine how rare that is, both the Game Boy player and the GameCube, of which needs a a CRT to run. And once that goes, and then it will just be down to my two my two DSs, which have GBA ports, one of which you've seen, which is top screen is almost coming off, and the other one, which is still hanging on, bless its little heart, but then they go, and then I'm stuffed. But the
Mm.
thing is, like, I run emulators on my phone for 2 Pokemon games, of which I own. I have the cartridges, but it's like I am.
Convenience.
Yeah, it's convenient, and it's just
Yeah.
like this will be my last bastion at some point for my GBA games.
Yeah, I do the same thing with my with a lot of my classic consoles. Is I do have a SNES Mini, and I do have a Mini Genesis, and I do have the program stuff, but it's just easier for me to play on my computer. Which, funny enough, guess what I boot up when I want to play a Genesis game? I don't boot up a ROM emulator. I boot up the official one because they've made it that decent. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
if you
It
support,
works.
yeah, if you support the industry, and that, I just think, just give me a way to buy your fucking games. That you know, you're all.
Yes.
It's not like, and I get it. They're trying to avoid competition with themselves at the same time, but it's not like you're breaking the bank over it.
Yeah, and
Here's an idea though. If
Go
you
on.
have a company that looks after its community, then the community will look after the company that makes the game. I think you've got a loop there that needs to be maintained there somewhere.
Yes.
exactly. But that's kind of what Sega does in a way. Like, okay, they have their falls, but they if you respect your community will respect you back
Sega,
in a way.
from a certain point of view, Sega is one of the most progressive in terms of emulation and preservation companies in the world, because
Mm.
they encourage hacks. They encourage ROM hacks and fan games. One of their games, one of the developers of fan games became the lead designer of one of their main games, and that sold really, really well. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
it just goes to show that the thing is, Nintendo are not like that. Nintendo are a company that are stuck in the past. They always have been.
They want their walled garden, and unfortunately, that's the walled garden doesn't get any doesn't get anything in it, and it'll just die if
So
you
Yeah.
don't bring.
why $50? Because they know people will buy it.
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah, and
100%.
that's
Because they've got
a
their fan base
douche
over a
thing.
barrel.
yeah,
That is an absolute douche thing to do.
There's no way. There's no other way you can play those N64 games unless you've got a CRT TV, an N64, and the original cartridges, which they cost a bomb just for the console and the cartridges alone.
And even buying them, you're not paying Nintendo.
Yeah, good
yeah,
example.
exactly.
Good example. If I wanted to play Castlevania Symphony of the Night before the Rec Room collection came out on PS4, I'd have to fork out nearly £100 just for that. That's without, actually no, £500 just for that, and that's without the console. You know, games,
Mhm.
especially classic games that are considered hidden gems, like Metroid's not really sold megabucks. Are very rare to come across, and they can be very expensive if you want to purchase a copy.
Yeah, and the supply is always dwindling. There's that you're
Yeah.
not gonna unless somebody like manages to reverse engineer them, which is impossible now. It's like there's not going to be extra supply for those classic games. At some point, we will run out of them. They will, like, all of them will break down because they're all physical things. I mean, like most of my consoles, like my Game Boy especially, is turning yellow because that's just age. It's just age, and
Yeah,
it's
stuff wears
seen the
out.
sun. Yeah, it's just like this is a thing that's going to happen, and that also leads me on to abandonware.
Yeah, go take abandonware.
So abandonware is basically there are many different types, like many different sort of types of abandonware, because most people know it as abandonware is software that you just can't buy, and the company is either no longer in business or not supported anymore, or just basically it's unsupported, unmaintained, and the company might either not be in business anymore or just unable to like support it anymore. At which point, it's like, well, what do I do? Like, if you can't get hold of that, the only way to like get hold of abandonware is to I'm sorry to say pirate it. Like,
Yep.
for example, Lego Loco is a game I used to play when I was very young. I mean, my dad still has the disc back at home, but you're kidding yourself if you think that you can play that on modern systems.
No.
It's a you can't. But there are sites who host these abandoned games, because the games company that made Lego Loco is no longer in business. You can't buy that shit anywhere. Well, you probably can on eBay, but I think you'd be looking at quite a lot for that. But there are sites that
and good old games aren't exactly lining up to kind of get Lego Loco working, are they?
No.
yeah, it's not on GOG, because that would be the first place I would go and look, but it's not there. So what do I do? Well, there are websites that do host these games for free,
Yep.
and you can just download them, and they'll usually give you like the commenters usually give you some instructions to how to get the games working. And is it legal? No. But also yes, because it's the finest line between, technically I'm not paying for this, but I can't.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't physically pay anyone for this.
Yeah, I can't make the transaction that I need to. If somebody, like, if GOG had Lego Loco on there, like, managed to get it running on modern systems and was like, here's like, I don't know, like pay us £5 and you can have it, I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't. And it's like,
It's not an issue. It's not an issue of. I mean, it's an issue of money because of again, I just talked about like having a game of ridiculous cost. That's not efficient, especially you want to try to get people into that series. But yeah, if it's off like £5, yeah.
yeah,
Hell,
I do have
hell.
yeah.
If Konami said, if you want to play, hey, yo, you want to play Symphony of the Night, like you want to play Symphony of the Night, sure. Okay, here's £30. Sold. Come on.
I will just have to add, though, for people who are looking for abandonware games, some abandonware games are owned by companies who are defending their copyright, and if you try and host them somewhere, they get a bit uppity. But will they actually sell the fucking games themselves? No, because companies are fucking greedy. So
Now,
They only care about the IP.
I'm just I have to say that, so
Yes.
people don't get into trouble for
Yes.
that. It's just
At that point, I also want to point out the Commandant podcast does not condone piracy, and we don't.
not
And
at all.
if anything, we think you should buy the games you support, like we done
Yeah.
in our past. We have, because we were young, we were ignorant, and we were also poor.
Yeah.
Whereas
the only times I've ever actually pirated are one when I was too young to buy my own games, and my dad
basically
had SimCity 2000 on 13 floppy disks that he copied from somewhere. I don't know where.
honestly,
Yeah.
I had that and Wolfenstein 3D.
I can honestly say, funny enough,
I have owned copied games, but I've never. In fairness, I've never pirated games, but I have maybe pirated games of the music.
I
The
mean,
music of the games.
I've that's what I meant by that. I've had copies of games in the past, but we're talking, God, I must have been 10. So we're talking at least about 18 years ago.
I mean,
Yeah,
I had
20 years
those
ago.
games on DOS. I had what else? Oh yeah, early emulators of the NES, and that's basically it, because I never had a copied PlayStation or anything like that.
Funny
Yeah,
enough,
my dad copied like Age of Empires. He just burned it onto another disc.
the turning point for me for that was one when I got into the industry and realized that it is damaging, and of course it is wrong to do that, and so I've moved on. But also, Steam became a thing.
Yes.
And it became so easy just to buy a game and just have it.
So easy.
So easy, just buy a game.
This is so convenient.
It's always an accessibility problem.
Yep.
Give people the ability to pay what they think your product is worth, and it's almost like they will pay the fucking money.
So
make it convenient for people to give you money, and they will give it to you hand over fist.
Basically, that's what it is. I changed when I went into uni and I suddenly was earning money myself and could buy games. I'd buy my PlayStation 4 games, my PC games. I'd buy them on Steam because it was I could afford it. I could buy them. There's no reason there's no need for me to pirate. And I've never really bought a dud game. Well, no, actually, no. X-Men Destiny. God, war flashbacks. Okay, yeah. So sometimes I get a dud. So sometimes I do get a dud game, and I do think there is an argument for wanting to see what the game is like before you invest, and I can.
That's what demos are for.
But at the same time, not many companies are doing demos these days, which is a problem in
Yes.
itself.
Yes, but that's more the industry's problem rather
Yeah,
than our
that
problem.
is the industry's problem, I think.
Yeah.
Give people demos, which is nice to see demos starting to make a comeback, which is good.
Yeah. Steam Next Fest was like one of the best ideas. Please keep doing that. That's
Keep
great.
doing it. Brilliant idea.
Wonderful.
But yeah, I can honestly hand up my hand and say I've not pirated a game for 18 years, which I'm very proud. I know people say, "Oh, pat yourself on the back." It's a big deal because it's important to note that you can be wrong about things. I was wrong. I was clearly wrong to do that when I was a child. I was a child. I was ignorant, not the nice excuse. But it's just if Nintendo gave me a way just to buy their games outright across their entire history, I would fucking do that.
Yeah, so it's all about making the stuff that we want to buy accessible to buy. For example, this isn't gaming, but it is nerdy related. Anime. Before Crunchyroll, before Funimation,
Oh God,
before
yeah.
before DVDs were in every HMV in the country, I had to go online and download episodes that were fan subbed in order to watch the latest thing.
Yeah,
Where I used to work, my first job out of senior school was at HMRC, off in a side town somewhere near here, and there was a guy who I worked with who would come in once a week and say, "Hey, I've got," we work together every day, but he'd come in once a week and say, "I've got a new one for you," and he would hand me a CD, not even a DVD, a CD that he had burned with 4 episodes on.
Oh my
Of
goodness.
something.
The irony for where you were working.
I know, right?
Yeah, no, I remember having to you remember Lemming, those sites which would only let you watch like a certain amount of anime for free for a little bit, and then it'd be like, you've used your allotted time, go find somewhere else. Yeah, I remember site hopping, watching like episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh or like stuff on YouTube, subbed like really old anime that you couldn't get anywhere else.
Yeah. And then Crunchyroll came and said, "Look, we have licensed everything, and even though there are adverts, you can watch it here." And then Funimation came and said, "We're doing the same thing, but we have dubs. We do the dubbing, and here's the thing, £6 a month." And anime fans rejoiced. They got to pick subbed or dubbed and pay for it.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And Funimation does do like some free stuff, like a good amount of free hours just watching stuff. That's how I'm kind of. That's how I was watching initially.
I pay my subscription to Funimation, and I watch Crunchyroll with ads.
What you shouldn't be doing is pirating new games.
Exactly.
Don't do that.
Don't do that, because support your industry, buy the games.
Especially indie games. If I see you pirating indie games, I will come to your house and kick you down the stairs.
Indie games are so cheap, you might as well buy them. Come on.
Also, for the fuckers who are refunding the indie games who are not like 2 hours long, I see you. You are a piece of shit. Please step on Lego, or better yet, put it up your ass.
Ouch.
And, for example,
we've definitely woken something tonight.
Yeah, a fun indie game that will give you hours of fun. Unmetal. It's brand new. It's £15.
I've been playing that. It's really good.
Nothing should be stopping you.
£15. What's £15?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I get there'll be some people out there. I get some people out there, and they call me a hypocrite for saying, "But I don't have the money to pay this." Like, unfortunately, you've got more things to worry about than gaming. I know that's very hypocritical of me, given my past. Unfortunately, time gives me a new perspective on things.
That and the fact that we have worked our lives to the point where we have the disposable income to buy games.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
We're very lucky and fortunate in that regard. Yeah, you shouldn't be doing it to new games. You should support the industry and only do it to games that no longer can be purchased by and if you really are not happy about that, tell the people in charge saying, "I want to play this, but I don't like the way that it's been offered to me. Please provide more options."
Yeah. And
Yeah,
on
exactly.
a side anecdote, one such abandonware site that I will not name, but it is very easy to find. It has a trending games section. There are
Yeah.
9 games at the top. These games are recently being played by a lot of people. 4 of the 9 are Dune.
In fairness, though, Dune, as you've said, like
It's a hot
Lemming,
topic
Dune,
right now.
yeah, Dune can be like. Didn't you say something like EA made Dune playable in browser?
They released the original Dune 2, the real-time strategy game, as a browser game. Just, here you go. I was like, fuck, brilliant.
Do you have any thoughts about emulation or this topic, Doctor?
It's obviously one of those things, isn't it? It's like sometimes, like say some of the stuff we talk about is like you want the companies to give you the options to play the games, but if they're not supporting, what the hell are you going to do?
Yeah.
Some people still absolutely love the classics, and that's the big point. Hell, I'd love to. Now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, when Lemming was talking about playing the most recent Mech Warrior, I was like, oh, I used to love playing Mech Warrior 3. And it'd be like, stuff like that. It's like, that would never see the light of day again, presumably. But it's just like, at that point, what are you going to do? You know, especially if you've got a series that's been going on for a long time. Sometimes, especially like say if there's a storyline plot going on, how the hell are you going to understand a story plot? That's been around for such a long time.
Kingdom Hearts.
Oh God, yes. Thing is, Kingdom Hearts is great because that actually did come to PC. That is probably the most accessible series right about now. Literally, its entire series
Somebody
is
get Starbomb in here.
its entire
Give us the easy plot.
its entire series is now available to play on PC on one console. Just buy
Which
the
is a
pack.
good thing.
Great, it's a great thing. That's exactly what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Exactly what you should
Hey,
be
Hey,
doing.
I'm still not gonna-
BioWare, can you do that for Dragon Age as well, please?
I mean,
Please?
I'm still not going to buy it because I'm never going to play
Oh, no.
Kingdom Hearts games because
Oh no, no.
I'm not saying you
it's a
should buy it.
convoluted mess that I don't want to jump into.
I'm not saying you should buy it. Just that options presented. I mean, that's the sad
it's
thing
there
is
now.
there are games on my shelf that I can't play anymore because I don't have a PlayStation 3 anymore. I actually do have a PlayStation 3, but it's unfortunately I kind of have limited space what I can set up. And it's just not convenient for me. I wish I could. If I should probably look into if I can emulate those in some way. Nice to play them again. But I do have my PlayStation. It's in my cupboard behind me.
I mean, I have a PlayStation 4 and an Xbox One under my bed. I just don't have the space for them.
Yeah, that's
I have a Nintendo. Like my Nintendo Wii's in my parents' in the loft somewhere. I really should bring it here and try and set it up, but like space,
and
the final frontier.
we've already talked about preservation enough to look at that episode, but it is also important from a preservational standpoint because there are so many games that'll be lost to time if we don't do that. Because,
Yeah, exactly. And
Yep.
like GoldenEye, that's not going to come out again on. They're not going to put that on Nintendo Switch Online.
Nope.
oh yeah, and the two examples I had, like that, they're not coming back.
they're not
I
coming back.
don't think they are.
Very
Like
unlikely.
Rogue Leader and Rebel Strike. Like,
Although, if you're listening, Lucas Games, if you're listening, I totally would buy.
please.
Please.
Oh my god, yes, yes.
I totally would buy. I totally would
Yeah.
buy a Rogue Squadron trilogy. I just saying.
Oh my god, yes, yes, please. I would
Take my
I
money
would
now.
Yeah, I would find some. I would sell my firstborn. I would make sure I would have a firstborn.
I'll sell a fucking kidney for that.
yeah.
But yeah.
Do you want my spleen? I can give you my spleen.
But I would give up anime.
Wow, that's a statement. That is a statement for Lemming.
That is
For 3 days.
For 3
3
days.
days.
Fair enough.
3 days.
days.
Yeah. 3 days.
Yeah, fair enough.
In those 3 days, would you be playing the Rogue Squadron trilogy by any chance?
Yes. Yeah, I would.
Yes. Oh my god.
God,
Yes.
yes, so would.
But
That's the thing.
that would be so good.
I think Good Old Games this earlier, I think it was early last month, released Star Trek Elite Force, the first-person shooter Elite Force game. Love that game. And you know what? I can now play that on a modern system. Buy. I bought it because
Yes.
fucking amazing.
Yeah,
I never thought I'd see that game again.
Yeah, a few months ago,
Yeah.
I was just like, I really miss playing the Metal Gear Solid games. I would quite like to play them. I wonder if I'll have to look up a PlayStation 1 emulator. I'll have to look up a PlayStation 2 emulator. I'll have to do all this. I'll have to get them working. Oh, they've just released them on GOG. Fuck yeah! Bye. Just
Yeah. Oh my god, if they ever got Rogue Leader, like Rogue Squadron onto GOG, I think I would die happy. I would learn those fucking controls, man.
I think
they do need to release Metal Gear Solid 3 though. Get the fuck
And
on
4.
that. Come on.
And 4.
And 4. But
4's only playable on a PS3.
Yeah. Oh god.
it was a PS3 game.
Yeah.
Also, if I can just like preempt people who are gonna say, yeah, but you said that accessibility is an issue, and Nintendo is clearly providing you a way to pay to get like the N64 games on your Nintendo Switch. Just like the subscription is a barrier, you fool.
It's a barrier, and also they're charging you double the cost for a lackluster service because they think they can charge you premium prices for very little effort. Effectively, this is free money for Nintendo, and they know it. And it's actually quite disgusting just how much they've hiked the price. If I'm honest, it is disgusting.
It doesn't matter if they're offering it. If they're gonna put pricing in the way, that will always be the barrier, because it needs to be a reasonable cost for a person. And also, may I just add, you don't own that. As soon as you stop paying your subscription fee, bye bye. Including that DLC for Animal Crossing New Horizons as well.
That's the
you
thing.
Don't own it,
That's
remember.
the thing. I don't want to have a subscription. I want to be able to own my games. I want to be able to own.
I want to own my thing.
Yeah, I am okay paying a subscription. Like, I'm okay paying the Games Pass for Microsoft, knowing I won't own like Age of Empires 4 when I download it when it releases. I'm aware of that, and I'm okay with that because the subscription fee is so like reasonably priced.
Yeah, it's a reasonable price for them to just go, you don't own these, but we're not charging you much.
Also, it's a AAA title that they are literally selling for like £7 at release stage.
I never just put it in that perspective. The Microsoft of giving you a brand new game if you pay $7.99 a month to them. Nintendo are giving you 20-year-old games for 50 of your pounds a year.
Not only that, half of those old games are Sega titles which are available everywhere else
for cheaper.
And you own them.
Actually own that. You actually own them. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, if it sounds like I'm nerding out, like I am, because like Age of Empires 4 is what I would consider a AAA title. Yeah.
Yep.
I have this on release day, and I'm just paying £7 for it a month.
It always feels like a crime, doesn't it?
It bears noting. This is what is going to get me to get the Game Pass.
Yes.
I don't have it until now.
Yes, exactly. Also, Lemming, you can preload it. You can preload it with the Game Pass as well.
Nintendo, here's what you're gonna do. If you want to entice people with this pass, drop it down so the expansion is only a $10 extra than the standard cost. Give people monthly options for that, as well as the normal fees. Also, or if you want to keep the price the same, just come out and say, we're doing Game Boy Advance, Game Boy games, and also we're doing GameCube games. You do that, people will pay.
Oh my God, yes.
If you want to make people really happy, say that and add in whatever insert console here for IK, Wii, and beyond.
Yeah. Also, I just think they could go back to what they did for the 3DS, which is just like pay for each game separately.
Yeah, that's
like a normal fucking store.
I would also like
my
that.
Game.
Yeah. I like it when people give you options like, you can have the subscription fee and get everything, or you can just buy the game outright. Costs more to buy the game in the long run if you want to buy all the games, but at least you get what you want and you get to keep it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the Switch Online thing was. It's just like, hey, you can get all the NES and SNES stuff that we already have here.
Although I'd put an asterisk. I'll put an asterisk next to that saying, but make sure that if you sell it on a future console, you can just download that bitch and not have to resell it to me again, please.
They will do it anyway, because but
yeah, but they shouldn't.
They shouldn't.
They shouldn't. No, if we're gonna call them out, let's call them out. They shouldn't be fucking doing that.
True that.
Also,
Also, who like the Pokemon Company, like I know this is completely different, but Pokemon Company, stop doing version exclusives for fuck's sake! You don't need to do 2 games a fucking generation.
Fuck yeah,
Stop it.
we had a big talk about it, didn't we? Yeah, fair enough. That pretty much covers the topic, I think. It's 2 minutes
Yeah.
past 9. We're early. For a change. We're actually
We're
conclude
actually on time. Holy
on
shit!
time for a change. But no. Again,
Shall
it's
we bitch about Nintendo some more?
please
I
do.
just want to say, I just want to say, Game Pass for joining right now for me. For the
Oh, yeah,
month
it's-
that I'm going, but the
Oh
month
yeah,
that
it's
I'm going to be
£1.
playing.
It's like
Yeah.
£1 for the first month, and then it's £7 for the rest.
Yeah,
Do
that,
it.
yeah. This one time, I'm going to be playing Age of Empires 4 for a month, and that's probably going to be it. But until I buy it on Steam when the price lowers. But yeah, it's like it's £1, and I'm just like, oh my god.
Exactly. Like Microsoft gives you so much fucking shit
they
at
are really
such
good.
a reasonable price and it's just like, here's a AAA game for like £7, and I'm like, are you fucking joking?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I would like to point out, amendment to something I said earlier. When I was talking about giving you free games, I wasn't talking about the Game Pass. I was talking about games for Xbox Live Gold, which was a thing they had for a while when I still played on the Xbox, where it's a case of, oh, you have gold, which means you're paying for Xbox Live. Here's 3 free games a month.
Yeah,
That
PlayStation
even
Plus
if
to
you
the
cut
same.
your gold subscription, you get to keep.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
That is,
but
as
so
far as I'm
good.
concerned, since then, Microsoft has been the gold standard of gaming subscriptions.
I agree. Completely agree. I can't fault Microsoft for that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm so glad like EBAC taught me into it, because it's just like, this is the only subscription service that I keep now.
For £7, it's like, for £7, what's £7 a month? You know,
£7 used to be like the cost of the fucking WoW subscription.
yeah. And
Like-
with that, you can play one game. It's called WoW. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
The only limit is your hard drive space.
Yep.
Don't mention hard drives to me in the chat. We know this. I've had this conversation many a times about my current PS4 situation.
Crowdfund me an SSD.
In
Fuck, where's my wallet?
In recap, emulation is a good thing for the industry, although piracy is not. You should support your industry. Companies should have offer easy, accessible, and option access to games with various options across the industry and across platforms, not just on their own, to provide future generations opportunity to play these games and for them to preserve, as we've discussed previously. The fact that they aren't is practically disgusting, and you shouldn't feel bad if you need to emulate a game to experience a past game, especially since if they're not going to sell it to you. However, if a company's selling that game, and particularly you shouldn't be doing it to new games, you should be buying and purchasing those games and supporting your industry.
I think in summary, it's just like, you need to do what you can in order to buy these games, but at the same time, the company must meet you in the middle.
Yes. Yeah, you couldn't put it fairer than that, really.
Yep.
Right.
Install. Then. Okay.
Well, that's our cue, I think.
For us, Age of Empires 4 comes online at 4:00 tomorrow.
By the way, everyone, we're slowly making our way through the topics of things we want to cover. And of course, we tend to cover the news, a newsworthy topic. If you guys have any topics you want us to cover in the future, I know that modding was brought up as a topic that we want to discuss earlier, so we might bring it up next month.
Yes.
Or if there are other topics that people want to discuss, we'll bring them up. But basically, if you want us to discuss a particular thing within the industry, give us a shout. You can find our Twitter handles beneath our screens. In the case of Doctor, who is not on Twitter because he's a heathen.
Actually, he's probably got the right idea.
He's actually he's probably he's the wisest of us all.
He will live longer than all of us combined.
He's got the right idea, as Case in the chat.
I am not sure if I take that as a compliment or an insult.
You should do.
It's a compliment.
It's a compliment.
Yeah.
Glad I know.
We're going to head off, and thank you all for joining us tonight. It's been a short episode than most because we wanted to blast through news topics and get onto this very deep, in-depth topic, and we actually went through it quite conclusively and got our opinions out of the way. So yes,
For the fastest time ever.
be kind to each other, be kind to the industry, support the industry, buy games, enjoy good games, enjoy old games. Doesn't matter. My name's been Eback, and I've been joined by Doctor, Lemming, and Shadow. And we're going to wish you all a good night, everyone. Enjoy your Halloween.
Indeed. Be spoofy.
Yes.
Bye.
Maximum
Bye,
spook.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Stick around for the raid, everyone, as we're going to shoot you over to Weird, who is still playing some Luigi's Mansion 3. So we thought I'd give him some love. So be sure to stick around, and we're going to give him a big surprise. If my... Into the raid, can I wish you all? And for some reason, it's not wanting to raid. It's fine, it's fine. I'll do it manually. I'll do it the old-fashioned way. There we go. So yes, we'll see you all over on Weird, who's playing... Luigi's Mansion. We'll just give him a boo as we come in, everyone. So, ready your boos? Off you go.